Well, for more, we can speak to James Smith, a lecturer in humanitarian policy and practice at UCL and an emergency physician based in London. James worked in Gaza briefly in 2023 and again for several months the following year. Hello to you. James, first of all, could you help us sort of get a picture here? More and more reports of people dying as they try to get aid. Can you explain why there's so much danger around these distribution sites?
As you've reported, almost 800 people we know have been killed trying to seek food at these sites. The simple answer to your question is that this is an intentional part of the Israeli strategy. These sites are all situated in the south of Gaza. They are intended to draw people towards the south, where people have to calculate whether or not they will try and stave off starvation for another day or face the risk of being shot by Israeli snipers, shot by Israeli quadcopters, or fired upon by Israeli tanks. That is an incredibly difficult decision, of course, for anyone to make. Many of the people that are going to these sites are trying to fend for their families, for their elderly relatives, for young children in their families. And it is a horrific calculation between starving to death or being shot and killed.
Yeah, and just to be clear here then, these sites could be organized in another way that would limit violence and we wouldn't have all these tragic incidents.
And we have to be clear, there was a humanitarian system coordinated and organized by the UN in collaboration with Palestinian ministries and Palestinian civil society that existed before the so-called Gaza Humanitarian Foundation was put into place, where people could gain access to the basics they needed in a dignified fashion. And indeed, even during the course of the last few weeks, there have been a few distributions organized within this UN system where people are given, they're alerted that they need to go to the locations to receive food. They queue up, they receive the food, and they can leave without any immediate threat to their well-being. This system that I'm describing, the UN coordinated system, has been crippled and undermined intentionally by Israel and its allies, such that they were able then to introduce this horrifically violent alternative.
Yeah, and the UN refuses to cooperate with the GHF, saying that it feels like it's carrying out, catering to the Israeli military objectives. If the UN changed its position, could it possibly improve the situation?
I mean, my position is that the UN and the remainder of the principled humanitarian system should not collaborate with this entity whatsoever. This is beyond a state of compromise. This is a mechanism that is used to enact violence. I think the UN absolutely made the right decision not to collaborate with the GHF, and that position should remain the case. The UN system is ready and capable and able to provide dignified and safe humanitarian assistance to Palestinians in Gaza, and that is the system that should be supported moving forward.
Yeah, we heard the testimony from a former GHF security guard turned whistleblower who said that he was instructed to shoot first and ask questions later.
Indeed, and that's also the command that has been given to Israeli soldiers during the course of the last 20 months of the genocide. I mean, there is absolutely nothing that can be salvaged about this system. It is an Israeli-led system sponsored by the US, managed by nefarious characters, hired mercenaries and ex-security folks. There is nothing humanitarian about this system.
You mentioned earlier that people on the ground are having to choose between a bullet or trying to get aid. What is it? How dire is a humanitarian situation there now? And talk to us about the effects of hunger and starvation and famine on the human body.
So I've spoken to friends and colleagues, both Palestinian and international healthcare workers in the last few days. All of them have referred to malnutrition. Malnutrition is widespread now throughout Gaza. Colleagues working at the Nasser hospital in Khan Yunis have reported that even newborn babies have died of malnutrition in recent days. We know that tens, probably many more people have died from starvation. Some of my surgical colleagues have reported that those that they're operating on are so malnourished now that their surgical wounds are breaking down. They're unable to mount the response required to heal. Everyone is hungry, and the entire population in Gaza is being starved as we speak.
And if you listen to people like yourself who've worked there or who are covering it, women, children, medical workers, journalists being disproportionately targeted.
Well, absolutely. And I think the important thing to continue to emphasize here is that this is genocide. The rules of war do not apply in situations of genocide. I mean, they exist, of course, they should be applied. But the international legal frameworks exist to prevent genocide. When someone is trying to commit genocide, what you need to do is to act to bring about an end to genocide and to protect those who are being genocided. Everyone is being targeted systematically and intentionally because they are Palestinian or because they are individuals working in sectors that exist to protect Palestinians, to keep them healthy, or to document the crimes that are being committed against them.
James, it may not be feasible for you to return to work in Gaza, but do you wish you could?
I think the important thing really to emphasize here is that there are no number of international healthcare workers. There are no number of blood units. There are no number of ambulances that can adequately respond to genocidal violence. What we need now is for all of us to be engaged collectively, to recognize that we have a collective responsibility to prevent atrocity crimes, that there are no humanitarian solutions to genocide. There are political solutions, and absolutely everyone, and most certainly the European Union and its member states, have a political responsibility now to act to protect the Palestinian people. That's really what I want to see, and that's what we desperately needed at this critical moment.
James, thank you so much for your time. James Smith speaking to us from London.